It's time to take a ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive with our co-hosts, Alan Saunders and Zachary Smith.
Get in the van. We're going for another Steelers Afternoon Drive. I'm Zachary Smith. That is Alan Saunders back after it was DB and I on Friday. Alan, it's only been a few days, but when you're not here on Friday, no Steelers game to do a post game for on Sunday. It just seems like we weren't on each other's screens for too long here. Good to have you back.
It's good to be back. It was also good to take a break. I feel very refreshed. Sure. Got away this weekend, so that was good. I'm ready to roll.
It's great. I mean, I would say, I'm trying to think of how to say this in a positive manner. I would say myself and also the people in the comments would say that they agreed with you needing to get a break based off the morale that we saw on the show last week for a little bit. So,
all right.
Yeah. Well, you obviously had like the migraine stuff going on, which wasn't related to that, but we all get burnt out. I've mentioned this before, that there was a point where I was right before I went on vacation this summer. So I'm glad that you had a couple days to get away and do that, but we are back. The Steelers are going to be back playing against the Cleveland Browns on Sunday after their bye week. And we're going to talk about that. First things first, now we got to figure out who even is going to be back in the fold for the Pittsburgh Steelers. A lot of injury updates to talk about, obviously. Who's going to be back, who we not going to have. What can you tell us on the injury front as we head into the week?
Yeah, so the Steelers did practice today, bonus practice over at the South Side. I was not there. Brendan Howell was there for Steelers Now and gave me the full rundown. So here's what we got. Guys that I feel good about playing would include Alex Highsmith, Jalen Warren, who practiced today. Still don't really have the full picture as to what happened there with that knee, that it looked like he was probably going to go and then just last minute did not play.
Something still on his leg though now?
Yeah, sure. Still has the sleeve that he had all in the week leading up to that. And then Joey Porter Jr. just straight out said he's playing. So we feel pretty good about that one. He, of course, was a limited participant in practice at the end of week 4. So, I mean, that one kind of made sense. Feel good about all three of those guys suiting up. Do not feel great about Jalen Ramsey. Seems like that's going to be probably at least a 2-week absence for him. Really not sure what to make of this Calvin Austin injury. He did not practice today, or at least not in the portion of practice that was open to the media. And he talked a little bit saying like he couldn't even rule out being on injured reserve. So not quite sure what to make of that injury. Haven't really gotten any details about it reported other than it was a shoulder injury and he went to get an x-ray in the hospital in Dublin. And then he said he was okay, but I mean, it's a week later and we don't really have a lot of info on Calvin Austin's status. So hopefully we get some more clarity from Mike Tomlin tomorrow on that. But I would expect the first 3 guys to play and the second 2 to not play. And who else is out there? Oh, and nobody activated from the injured reserve. So Will Howard, Dante Kent, Corey Trice looks like, at least for now, looks like another week for those guys.
In regards to Cal, I think it's interesting just because what is up with Calvin Austin injuries and just like there being so much mystique behind the time frame. Like he gets hurt in training camp and we had no clue really like what was going on. He said he was fine, ends up missing like a month or whatever it was, and then comes back. It just seems like in a similar fashion here, the timetable is completely wide open as to what it's going to be.
Yeah. Maybe people will write about him holding out for a contract, and then I'll have to set the record straight again.
Yeah. And what's tough with this is, when you say like multi-week absence, it's because they play in the short week. So like guys that don't
every
play on
1 week
Sunday,
absence is a multi-week.
Yeah.
Like there's, it's all the only way is if you get like real close and then don't play. And then maybe you could play, like if you're like questionable, full participant on practice on Friday, but still don't play this week, I guess maybe you could play the following week, but especially with a soft tissue injury, I don't know what Calvin's is, but like with Ramsey's case, we know it's a hamstring. Mm-hmm. That one feels very, very unlikely to me that we will see him until, what would that be, week 8, I guess.
Yeah, the Green Bay Sunday night game would be what you're aiming for then, if that's the case. So, okay, we'll see on that front. Certainly be something to monitor. And like you said, with Tomlin talking tomorrow, hopefully we get some more clarity there. Alan, before we dive into the YouTube comments and get to some of those great questions that we always get, the bye week, kind of a reset for the team and for us and everybody. And in that period of time, as DB and I noticed when we put out for questions on Friday, a lot of people were talking about college quarterbacks. I don't know if it was just because, hey, let's reset on the season. This also gives us some time to focus on those guys. But you mentioned to me you kind of wanted to do the same. Let's take a step back and look at what's going on in the world of college football and this team's pursuit of their next franchise signal caller.
Yeah, DB updated his quarterback rankings on Saturday. I feel like it was a notable weekend for some movement in college football, but I feel like we haven't really talked about it enough just in terms of like where, we talked a lot about this looking like a really good class. And I think every time we talked about it in the offseason, there would be somebody that would pipe up and say, yeah, but that's no guarantee, blah, blah, blah. This could happen, this could happen, this could happen. And I feel like every time that happened, my response is always, yeah, but like for every guy who looks like a first rounder now, that won't be. There'll be someone who doesn't that will be. And I feel like we're watching that play out very specifically in this draft class, in that there are players that did not look like top quarterbacks this offseason that are now firmly in that range right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, Dante Moore comes to mind immediately for me as a guy that has risen up tremendously and actually goes head-to-head with Mendoza this upcoming weekend, a guy that DB has been very high on at Indiana. And I was curious to see how his transition would go there after transferring there. And I'd say it's gone pretty well so far. So I'm curious to see how those guys go head-to-head against each other. But yeah, to your point, a lot of the comments or questions that we had was like, is this class, living up to the hype? And even like before we can answer, people obviously responding to those because it's on a public forum and they have the ability to do so. We're saying absolutely not. Like it looks like another bad draft class or whatever. And it was like, is it just different guys? Like those spots are being taken by other guys. It's the same number of guys, I feel like. It's just maybe not the guys that you had expected to be there preseason.
I think it looks like a great draft class. I think you're looking at 8 guys taken before the end of the second round.
Well, let's go through.
Maybe 9.
Let's go through who you have in that range right now, just to kind of paint a picture. And then obviously the comments will 100% agree with everybody that's thrown out there.
Yeah. Guys I think are doing really well. Fernando Mendoza, Dante Moore. I would kind of put them 1 and 2 personally for me right now. Lenore Sellers has looked okay. He's dealt with some injuries. He's been good. Garrett Nussmeier is kind of what he is. Maybe dealing with an injury. I don't know how that's going to affect things for teams. And then you got like a whole bunch of guys that I feel like are kind of at the back of the first round right now. John Mateer, Cade Klubnik, Drew Aller, Sam Levitt. Like it is not a crazy situation to me to think of all of those guys as first round picks right now. If you look at mock draft database, there are 7 players currently in the top 32 at quarterback. And then Ty Simpson is another player that
that's the one I wanted to bring up. Yeah, I was curious.
I think the hype is maybe just starting to catch up to his play, but like he's the guy who was totally not on people's radars that I'm now seeing mocked in the first round fairly regularly. And so like there's still a lot of college football to be played. We don't have any idea what the top, like people want to ask me like, who are the Steelers like a quarterback? I was like, they don't know. That's why they're scouting like that.
Yeah.
Who everybody likes is going to change 9 times between now and the draft. It'll change several times between the end of college football season and the draft. And so the big picture though, that's important to the Steelers is doesn't look like a good class because they need talent to get pushed down the board. They need to not have to go to 2 or 3 to get a top quarterback. And it sure looks like that's what's going to happen in this draft class right now with a large number of players that could be first round picks.
And you have guys like, Sawyer Robertson at Baylor, Luke Altmaier, who's playing pretty good ball at Illinois.
Trinidad Chambliss at Ole Miss is a guy who feel like is also been rising up lately. Sawyer Robertson's a good shout. Aiden Childs is interesting. Michigan
Imagine
State.
if what if Luke Altmaier just goes and absolutely lights up Ohio State's defense?
Maybe, firing their offensive coordinator was all UCLA needed to do to unlock Nico Iamaleava, and now he's going to take off after beating Penn State.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's still so long to go, but
we didn't mention Job's boy, Carson Beck.
We didn't, and I think he's probably right there in that conversation. I think there's a number of good players in this class, and it's there's a question here that I want to get to because I think it's really good about what I'm looking for when I'm watching college football, for especially quarterbacks, because I feel like it's very different than what a lot of people are looking for.
Oh, okay. You're saying that there's a question that you saw.
Yeah. Do you have that one? If not, I'll try to find it.
I'm looking here. Do you remember? You probably don't remember who it was from, but like what was in?
It was this morning, I think.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking at the ones that were hard, and I don't. I'm not seeing it. Oh, Jonathan here that mentioned the quarterbacks as well.
Yeah, could be
like by name. He said. I mean, I don't know if this is what you're talking about, but no, so early in the season, trends stay relatively the same. Do you think the Steelers would be better take a quarterback that has been a solid starter for multiple years, or has struggled this year, or a quarterback that hasn't been impressive until this year? How much does recency bias sort of play into evaluations of players? Is that the one you're talking about?
That's another one I was talking about. That one's okay though. We'll take that. I think recency bias is definitely a thing when you're talking about like people doing things in small samples they haven't done before, versus like Will Howard at the end of last year with Ohio State, right? He's really good from like December on, or from, December 1st on. But we had a long history before that of Will Howard being a very average college quarterback. And the start of his senior season, he was worse than that. People were calling for him to be benched at the start of his senior season, right? And so you look at that and you go, that like the recency bias there, I feel like has really clouded people's judgment of Will Howard. On the other hand, if you have a player, I'm trying to think of an example of this one that's that good. If you have a player who maybe has a lot of athleticism and some really good physical tools, but is inconsistent, we'll have good games and bad games, good drives and bad drives, but then maybe they don't do anything they didn't do before, but they just get more consistent. I feel like that's something you think, okay, this is growth here. This is real. It is a small sample, but like you had the bigger sample of physical tools already. And so, yeah, I do think there's like, that's why the whole draft process is small samples and recency bias. Like, we're going to change who the number one pick is after the Senior Bowl, probably. Like, and that's only 2 months before the draft. So, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting too, just because, I mean, there's so many people have had this conversation, but like with obviously guys transferring to different places much more frequently now, the way that NIL has impacted things and just the different systems and guys having short leashes, not just in the pros, but also in college. Like, it's hard for guys to stay in the same system for like extended periods of time and actually be able to evaluate them within that system and then try to figure out, well, how are they going to translate to our system? So, yeah, I mean, QB development and evaluation, I feel like has never been harder than it is right now. And that's coming from obviously somebody that's not paid to do it. But yeah, I mean, that's just kind of my take on it, my 2 cents. I still I don't know exactly which one you were talking about here, because I was trying to find another one that even mentioned college quarterbacks. But
yeah, I don't know. I don't know where it went.
I'll keep looking as we talk here, but there is another one in regards to quarterback, I guess, but it's more so about like what necessarily winning this year would do. My guy, the Facts Mob, asked about this, and it's very long, so I'm gonna summarize it a bit here, but basically saying what good does it actually do them to win a single playoff game if the roster quarterback isn't good enough to contend for a championship, because it pushes us away from the more important goal. I've heard you personally say multiple times, who cares about random playoff wins? Establishing a consistent contender is the long-term goal. So I don't understand the whole winning a playoff game notion.
Yeah, I mean, they've insulated themselves from the impact of winning more games by their collection of draft capital. It won't hurt them. It can't hurt them. It doesn't matter. They have the ability to go get the quarterback wherever they need to go to do it. It may cost more, but that's okay. It doesn't really matter. And so, like, the idea that losing is good is dumb and wrong. And I don't know what more I can say to get that through people's heads, but especially when you have a young team, there is real value in winning. There is real value in going and doing things you have not done before that will allow them to have greater success in the future, having had done it. And this is an obvious black cloud hanging over this team. Its inability to win a playoff game that impacts lots of things that they would really like to be rid of. So yeah, I do think it matters. And I don't think losing more games is helpful ever, really, but certainly not in this case where they've got 12 draft picks and relatively few needs. I mean, you look at, it's not like they have, they could, if you go try to do a mock draft right now with the Steelers without trading picks, by the third round, you're like, all right, I don't know what to do with the rest of these. It's there's no, they'll have to package a bunch of them to make them impactful. You're not going to trade fourths and fifths to go up in the first round, but that's not a big deal. And I think there's a real chance that they, if they're able to do that, and that it's really difficult. Losing is easy, but then you have to deal with, and this is another question, and I think I do see this one here. I dealing with the issues of losing brings its own set of complications.
Mm-hmm. As that train passes by us. Zach Howe, I believe, is the one that you were bringing up here in the past when Steelers fans have said the Steelers should tank to get better draft pick in the upcoming draft. Allen has said tanking doesn't work. I think the Bengals are proof of that, and also proof that only a dysfunctional organization would do such a thing. Seems like they're perfectly content trotting Browning out there, knowing that they will lose, but improve draft order instead of trading for a quarterback to salvage as much as they can. Any thoughts on the Bengals' approach to the season? Also, great first name from Zach in Kentucky. Not too far from Cincinnati, actually. Also, kind of a follow-up question going into the season, would have thought this was an all-in year for the Ravens. With the way it's going for them, do you think that they try to go all in before the deadline to try to get back on track?
Well, I mean, I think Browning was really good for the Bengals when Burrow was hurt the last time. And so I think it's been reasonable for them to expect that they would be able to lean on him. And I'm not quite sure why they haven't. Zach Taylor in his press conference after the game was really adamant that this is on me. And when you see a guy who's had success as a backup, and I'm not saying you're going to get anything approaching Burrow level performance out of him, but Jake Browning was pretty darn good when he's replaced Burrow in the past. So I don't know. I just feel like the Bengals are doing, they had a contingency plan filed and they're executing it and it's not working. Will they just get to a point where they give up on the season? I don't see how they can get there with the AFC looking the AFC North looking very weak. I would not be the Bengals or the Ravens sitting there looking oh, how are we ever going to catch the Steelers? This is a big lead for Pittsburgh right now, but they're going to come back to the pack in December. You can be pretty sure of that. So, I mean, I think the Bengals are trying to figure it out. I think they just fundamentally have a team that has spent all of its money in three positions and has no offensive line. Yeah. And the change in coordinator did not solve all the problems with their defense, and they're kind of stuck.
Yeah, the Browning thing is super weird just because, like, it's not like it had just been in relief and you could say, well, he wasn't game planned for it because teams, like, knew he was on the schedule going back to the last time that Joe was out for the rest of the season, and Browning still played well enough for them to be competitive, and this just looks like completely different, and that has not been the case. Prior to yesterday's game where, like, Jamar Chase started to go off in the second half, though, I was wondering the same thing just from, like, you have to go and get somebody else just to like satisfy those guys individually and make sure that they don't check out because of what we're talking about with what happens when you are so bad and things kind of continue to have like a domino effect. But then he ends up getting his and talks about how fun it is playing football. It's just more fun when you win. So he still got his and had his day, but that thought definitely entered my mind yesterday. We'll see if they can get the offense back on track, but even beyond that, like we knew that the defense wasn't going to be very good. We thought maybe it was just, going from Lou Anarumo, getting a fresh voice in there and Golden. What would that do? I don't think that it's been so fundamentally different for them on that side of the ball though either.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think things are going to go great for them, but there's definitely they have a lot to keep playing for, both because I don't think they should feel like they can't catch the Steelers, and like you said, you want to keep those star players engaged on offense.
Yeah, absolutely. In regard to the Ravens thing, they obviously drop another one yesterday. Now the Rams on the schedule, then the bye. So you assume now with the way that they've kind of handled this, does it make sense to bring Lamar back for one game and then have the bye? Probably not. So I would say no Lamar Jackson against the Rams, and then you go into your bye. Could very well be sitting at 1-5 going into their bye. And I know that their schedule gets much easier on the back end. I am curious to see how they kind of operate, and assuming that they can get not just Lamar, but that's kind of the talking point because he plays the most important position. But you take a look at that defense, like 2/3 of it are missing right now, and how quickly can they get those guys back in the fold?
Yeah, and the other part of the question here is actually the part I really want to address is this idea, and there's another one here too, probably that we could swing into this, but like this idea that they're going to be active at the trade deadline. I don't know like what NFL you guys grew up watching, but like an impactful player is traded at the NFL trade deadline about once a decade. Like it just does not happen. They are not out there. I don't like,
and if they are, it ends up probably not being a very good trade. Like I don't think that Washington would do over that Marshawn Lattimore trade with what they've gotten from him.
You can get like the Ravens traded for Tre'Davious White last year, who became their number 3 corner. Like, you can get guys like that. But like in terms of like actual like big time contributors traded at the deadline, it almost never happens.
Yeah, I mean the opportunity that's in front of them because of the state of the AFC North, where everybody, despite their current record, feels like they still have a shot. It's kind of what Eric brings up here. Said this kind of opportunity is worth trading some day 3 picks for players. In my opinion, these picks won't make an impact in a quarterback trade, but day 3 picks, but could bring a few quality expiring contracts or even a long-term player back. Specifically mentioned like a Rashid Shaheed from the Saints in there. They're obviously in a place where they probably would be willing to, that actually a report came out about maybe dealing some veterans off that roster, but it is interesting to me. And also the thing that has to be weighed when doing that is like, I know you're talking about it being kicked down the road another year, kicking the can down the road, but you got to make it enticing enough if it is an expiring free agent for that team just to not say, well, we think that it's probably worth it just to get the comp pick back as opposed to trading this.
Yeah. I mean, I think there's a couple things here. First of all, don't write off the value of what appear to be low round draft picks. It is fairly easy to start bundling picks and move up and use combinations of draft picks together to create value. You can move up with a first, a fourth, and a fifth, 3 spots. Maybe that's all you got to go.
Who's to be really good? I mean, I guess I just probably still is pretty good, but more noticeable. Just even like a few years ago, John Schneider in Seattle used to just be able to like manipulate the board in a crazy way.
Yeah, I mean, Howie does it all the time. They're always
Sure.
trading picks, but like they're all valuable, and the baseline value of any draft pick is fairly high. So, in terms of trading, like I would say the Steelers are going to be very hesitant to trade a draft pick, and also mostly what you get for those draft picks is junk at this stage of the process. I guess the Lions got Zadarius Smith last year. Like that's an okay starter. I mean, like it's very rare for anybody to get anything useful out of the trade deadline. Devontae Adams got traded in season last year. I guess that worked great for the Jets. But like, you just should not bank on that happening, no matter how much you want it to happen. And the other thing is, there are so many more teams that would like to trade for something than there are teams that would like to trade something, that the prices are often ridiculously high.
Sure. Yeah, well, that's why I said, like, I think you give Washington a do-over. They're probably not trading 2 day 2 picks for Marshawn Lattimore.
You give Omar Khan a do-over. Is he trading for either Preston Smith or Mike Williams? Probably not.
Yeah.
Even though he didn't trade that much for them, like they didn't turn out to be worth it. And like we said before, like everybody's always okay with saying, oh, it's only a 5th round pick or 6th round pick until you draft those guys. And then, then you like them. Like that's why Black and Will Howard you just gave away for junk at the trade deadline. Like think of it that way, not some scrubby pick.
Even a 4th round pick, I think people would be like, whatever, as long as it's, that receiver provides some value. Okay, well, that could be Nick Herbig, 4th round pick. So yeah. Definitely interesting conversation there. But Devin, we got to get to Devin's here for sure, because it's been sitting here for a couple days actually, but also because he started out by complimenting us. So of course we got to get to this one. Alan, your season, the game shows, especially on your writings on Steelers Now, by the way, it is way better without the ads, and the subscriber live stream is awesome. There you go. Bringing endorsement. You, Smitty, and DB give so much great insight based on what you guys have seen so far. This kind of plays into what we talked about the draft. Do you guys think that there's any chance that the plans of quarterback in the 1st round have changed, if any? If so, do you think it would be tackle next on the list?
No, I don't think it's changed any. And no, I don't think tackle's anywhere near next on the list. Not that I think that Broderick Jones is playing great right now, or Troy Fautanu, but like they're playing good enough that the odds of upgrading on them is very small and would be very expensive. And they're just not going to do that. I would bet a lot of money that as long as they're healthy, those 2 guys are the starting tackles of the Pittsburgh Steelers for 2 more years.
You always have a way of answering my next question. I was going to follow up with, right now, if I was putting you on the spot, does Broderick get his 5th year picked up?
That one's, I guess, a little bit interesting because it will be high. Okay, that's maybe an inflection point there where if he's just playing this well, I would say probably not.
Okay.
Just because of how expensive it is, maybe they would like try to find a way to work out a different deal.
Yeah, but that's tough to me. I mean, what does it take to do that? And does he obviously takes 2 to tango? I don't know. I'm interested to see if that would have to be.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that they would just have to bite the bullet and pick up the 5th year option, to be honest, assuming that
I think they would probably pick it up, thinking that if they decide they want to replace him, they'll be able to trade him.
Okay.
Now that I think about it, I think that's probably the route they would go down. Just pick it up and then assume that if they decide they do want to replace him, they would still be able to trade him.
We just talked about, how often trades happen for offensive linemen and stuff like that. But you're talking about
Robert Jones would be like the most impactful tackle traded in, I don't know, 10 years.
Like a baseline starting left tackle. Yeah. I mean, because everybody's going to bring up obviously like the Laramie Tunsil thing, but I don't know if anybody's watched Tunsil. I was questioning why Houston was moving on. He has been awful for Washington. I'm not saying that Houston's been any better in their
Yeah,
offensive
they didn't win. Nobody really won that trade, but yeah.
Yes. He has been horrendous. Anything else you want to get to? We checked.
Yeah, I heard you guys had some Taylor Swift content on Friday.
Oh yeah,
I was just a little jealous of not getting to partake in that because
I
know how much the fan base loves that.
I'm gonna have to parse through the comments specifically to see if anything was mentioned in regard to that. That's actually how I opened up the show because the new album dropped at midnight that day on Friday, and I listened to a lot of Taylor Swift, and don't come for me diehards, but a little disappointed with the album. It's not for me. Completely different side of her that we have not seen before. That's cool for her. She's living a much different life. I respect that and what her and Travis got going on. Not for me. Album wasn't for me. And it wasn't intended for me, I guess, but I'm not a fan.
My big takeaway is that Taylor Swift has been hanging out with a lot of NFL players because this is the most profane album of hers that I can ever remember.
Yeah, and no issue necessarily with that. I don't know. I don't know what I was expecting. I need a lot more songs like Fearless. That's probably my favorite Taylor Swift song. Don't know if you're familiar, if anybody in the audience is. If you're not, go listen to it. That's the kind of energy that I was kind of hoping for with this one. There's not anything on the album that replicates it for me. So
there you go.
I still got it downloaded on Spotify, but I'm not. There's, unlike a lot of her stuff, there are skips for me, sadly. So it's unfortunate. Sorry, Taylor. We know.
I've enjoyed it so far.
We know Taylor listens to this, so apologies.
I'm sure,
but
listen, if you are a big listener of the New Heights podcast, I would bet we'll get up in your recommendations eventually, right? Like we're just the Pittsburgh.
The
version.
Funniest thing, though, this kind of is related because when they had Taylor on there and they did like the debut episode or whatever and crossed 1 million views, I took a screenshot and photoshopped us on it. And like some people actually thought it was legit. Like my friend texted me, he's like, "There's no way there's that many people watching." I was like, "Yeah, you're right."
It's like 1/1000th of that.
But all right, good stuff. Look forward to continuing this conversation as we move through Browns week. Good to be back, Alan. Until tomorrow, tell people they can find you.
Saunders_PGH on X, Instagram, TikTok, and Blue Sky. PGH Steelers Now. It's site's account, SteelersNow.com. Go there, read the words, sign up for SM Plus, and you get them without the ads, which our guy, very doing the job for me, really. Devin just saying how great it is without the ads. It is. That I was actually logged out on the site today for a little bit, and I was like, oh my God, I gotta get rid of these ads. And then anyone could subscribe, hit that bell for notifications here on the YouTube channel. Helps us grow this show and all the rest of our shows to a bigger audience. And you guys, I mean, the number just keeps going, man. It's not like there's any there's no stopping it. It is just every day. The time marches onward. 16,800, and unfortunately a number that I don't think we're going to be very productive at our little game here.
I just loved
Terry Bradshaw.
Yeah.
I'm not that familiar with pre-Bradshaw quarterbacks, and I can't think of there
has to have been some guys
that not Hanratty, right? Not Len Dawson, not I can't I would think there would have been one, but I can't think of who it might have been.
So obviously, in 70, he took it over. Nobody's worn it. 70 to 83 is Terry Bradshaw's playing career. There's a ton of names here, actually, but they're all 1 year, and who knows if they actually even happened, as we've mentioned before with this site. My favorite one here, though, Dick Riffle, 1942. Yes.
I don't know anything about Dick Riffle, but that one immediately goes into the Steelers name there.
Tiny Weisenbaugh.
Tiny Weisenbaugh?
No, Heine. Heine.
Heine Weisenbaugh.
So take those last two names I just told you, but just the first name. Yeah, number 12 might low TB. One for the Bucks. There's a Steelers lore. Yeah.
Could be. Yeah. What track on the album is Wood? It's not 12? Is it just?
Oh, I don't like where this is going. What track is it? It is.
I don't. I think it's only 12 songs. No, it's not 12.
Wait, how does it download on Spotify? It's either 4 or.
I think it's 9.
It is 9 then. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was either going to be 6 or 9, I guess.
Yeah.
All right, Alan. This went the
let's get out of here.
New today's episode. What tell the people where they can find you?
We already did that part. You tell the people where they can find you.
Yeah, that threw me off. Sorry. Yeah, you can find me everywhere. Zachary Smith PGH. But most importantly, like, subscribe, hit that notification button. If you're listening somewhere else, Apple, Spotify. I don't know why you are.
We need another 5-star review.
We do need another 5-star review. I'm sure that Taylor Swift has gotten a bunch on hers. Leave us some as well. So do that. Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from. Just search Steelers Afternoon Drive. Do the same thing on TikTok. And like I just said, you can find me everywhere. Zachary Smith, PGH, for Alan Saunders, and myself. Man, I hope you guys come back tomorrow. We'll see you for another Steelers Afternoon Drive.